Okay, so we ended here yesterday. Were there any questions? So, Logan, was it you? Did you say you were going to have a question for me today? Or were you teasing me? You're good? You figured it out? Okay. Anybody else? Anybody got anything? Okay. All right, so I want to remind you of a couple of things because we're going to work on an assignment today and some of the things that I've already seen. When you are writing this stuff out, okay, you have to say certain things like, I have to say H. Oh, that's an eraser. I don't want to do that. I have to say H is concave down on this interval, all right? And then I have to say the rate of change of H is decreasing on this interval, okay? You have to say all of that. Don't just say the function. That's better than it. But what function? The function H. And you don't even have to say the function H. You can just say H. He has a name. It makes it shorter. All right? Somebody made a comment last period that having to say this twice seems redundant. Okay? Yeah, I get it. But remember, our opinions don't matter. But let me tell you why it's important that you put it there. If I don't put the interval here, I'm basically stating that H is always concave down. Is it always concave down? No. And if I don't put it here, I'm basically stating the rate of change is always decreasing. The rate of change always decreasing? No. So that's why you have to put the intervals on both. You have to be specific about what you're talking about. Okay? We all okay on that? I'll take that as a yes. All right. So this one's also going to go on page 22. We don't always have 3 pages on one page, but we do this time. And when we have multiple pages, it's usually because our examples and stuff are ginormous. All right, so let's read through this. The figure shows the graph of the function k for this interval from 0 to 9, as well as 6 labeled points. We're going to use this graph for all of the following examples. So the first thing asks, on which of the following intervals is k negative and decreasing? To figure that out, do I need my fun chart? Am I talking about the function or the rate of change here? The function, which means I don't need my fun chart. If I have it written down, that's great, but I don't need it. I don't want to try and confuse myself. The function itself, if the function is negative, that means the y values are negative, right? My function is negative here and here. Do we all agree with that? Then the function decreasing means my y values are getting smaller. Here, my y values are getting bigger. Here, my y values are getting smaller here. And then they're getting bigger. So the only interval that makes sense as an answer where both things are true is C. Everybody okay with that and how that works? You can write on your picture, scribble, sketch, do whatever to make sure you're looking at the right pieces. Okay? Everybody okay with all that? All right, so now, which of the following statements about the rate of change of k is true? Do I need my fun chart for this? Yes, because it says rate of change. So without looking at anything, write your fun chart right here. Then we'll double check that it's right, but we want to try and get it out of our brains first. Okay, so you can double check with me that what you have is correct. All right, so we're looking for whether the rate of change is positive or negative, basically, was what we're looking at here when we look at our answer choices. So my rate of change being positive or negative relates to the function increasing or decreasing, right? So now, basically, I could change this instead of saying the rate of change of k is negative, I could say the function is decreasing. Those mean the same thing, right? They're happening at the same time. So from A to B, is the function increasing or decreasing from A to B? It's increasing. Therefore, the rate of change is positive. Okay. Which means, do we like A? Oops. No, we do not like A. All right, and then from B to C, what is the function doing? increasing. That means the rate of change is positive, right? Which means I don't like B. All right, then I go from D to E. D to E, what is the function doing? Decreasing. Therefore, the rate of change is negative, which means I don't like C. Should I just automatically circle D and move on? No, I should read it, because sometimes, have you ever marked out all of them? Yeah, me too. We're like, oh, well, clearly I read something wrong somewhere. All right, so let's look from E to F. What is happening with the function? It's increasing, and since the function is increasing, the rate of change is positive. Therefore, I like D. Okay? So make sure you are asking yourself when you are clear about the function, the rate of change. Okay? Any questions at this point? You can always stop me if you have a question in the middle of something. If I'm not paying attention or I look straight through you, holler at me. Okay. Let's look at 7. Which of the following statements about the rate of change of K is true? So you work on 7. You can talk about it at your tables. Let's see if we can maybe figure that out. Do you need your fun chart? Yes, because it says rate of change. All right. Do you agree with the people at your table? Because you didn't even talk to them. Make y'all stand up and sing a song to each other. Make you sing a love song to your neighbor if you don't talk to them. Okay. Anybody want to be brave enough to give me an answer? B? B as in boy? Okay. B? Do y'all agree with that? Anybody have something different? Do we all have B? We all have B? No? I see. What do you have? C? Anybody have anything else? That's just B and C. That's all we got? All right, let's talk about them. So, if I want to know if my rate of change is increasing or decreasing, I am looking at concavity, correct? Okay, so let's look at these two, and then we'll see if we need to look at the others. Rate of change of K is increasing from B to C. If the rate of change is increasing, what has to be true about the concavity? Has to be concave up. Oh, wait. Okay, so there's some crazy confusion about his schedule, poor kid. It's okay. I told him to just look it up. It's fine. You're fine. No, you're fine. Yeah, I got it. I'll talk to Miss Carol. No, you're fine. All right. So from B to C, if the rate of change is increasing, the function has to be concave up, right? So let's look from B to C. Is this concave up? Yes or no? No. Okay, so I don't think it's B. Let's check C. Maybe neither one of those are right. The rate of change of K is increasing. So if the rate of change is increasing, once again, the function has to be concave up. Are we concave up from D to E? Yes. So the answer is actually C. Okay. If we had B, because there was a lot of you that had B, either that or you didn't, and once somebody else said B, you were like, yeah, no, that's the answer. Yeah, that's right. Either way, do we understand why it's not B? We all good on that? Okay. Any questions at all? Is it okay to be wrong? Absolutely. Okay, and if you're not telling me what you're thinking, I can't help you with whatever's going on in your brain. Okay, so let's do the same thing for 8. Y'all work on that one. Let me know what you think. Be brave enough to give me an answer Eventually I'll start randomly calling on you and making you give me an answer, but right now I'll let you be brave. While you're discussing it, let me ask you this question. Do you need the fun chart? No, because we are not talking about rate of change. We are just talking about the function, increasing and concave down. Okay, anybody want to be brave enough to give me an answer? B. Okay, anybody have anything else? We could all be wrong, right? Let's see. So, I'm not saying that you are, I don't know, let's see. Increasing and concave down. So B to C, from B to C, I am increasing, right? My Y values are getting bigger, and I'm concave down. I do like that answer. Okay, everybody okay with that? Any questions at all? Flip it over. Okay, so now we have this function f on our closed interval from -5 to 5. It asks on what intervals is f decreasing, right? So from here to here, I'm increasing, and then I'm decreasing. So my y values go from 2 to 0. So is that what I write? Do I write about y? No. I look at y, I talk about y, I write about who? X. Okay, so it's decreasing from -1 to 2, and they're open. We talked about why it's open, right, already? Okay, just making sure. Okay, now I'm looking for on what intervals is f both negative and increasing. Do I need my fun chart? No, I do not, because it's just the function. The function is only negative right here, right? That's it. Is it increasing there as well? Yes. So I'm going from -5 to -3. Now let's say we were in the camp of, you know what, I really think when it's increasing and decreasing, we should include them or not include them or whatever. If I include -3, then I'm wrong, because at -3, is my function negative? No, it's 0, right? That's another reason why we just kind of keep them open, and then we don't have to worry about all those little nitpicky things. So -5 to -3. Everybody okay with that? Any questions at all? All right. Let's look at this. So let's talk about point A real quick, because point A is located at -1, 0. It's the only point where the graph of G changes concavity. Okay, so it changes from concave down to concave up at A. When you talked about cubic functions, okay, cubic functions look kind of like that, right? The point right here, can anybody tell me what that point is called where it changes concavity? I don't know that you actually talk about it in Algebra 2, so it's okay if you don't. I'm just trying to see if anybody does know it or if you did. All right, because I know you don't talk about concavity, but on the cubic, see, this is concave up, and then it changes to concave down, right? So the point where concavity changes, this is called, and we'll talk about it more and define it. I'm just going to point it out today at least. This is called a point of inflection. Point of inflection. That is where a graph changes concavity. And there's an L in there. It's inflection and not infection. Your graph is not getting sick. It is changing concavity. kind of like an inflection in your voice, that type of thing. All right, so it says here, on what intervals is G decreasing and G concave up? Do I need my fun chart? No. Okay, so see if you can write down that interval, and you can check with your neighbor. Anybody brave enough to give me an interval? No. -1 to what? 1? Do we agree with that? Okay, so let's look at what's happening here. Decreasing, the function is decreasing. That's the only place it's decreasing, right? And we want it to be concave up. Remember, this is where our concavity changes. So this is concave down, then this is concave up, and that is -1 to 1. Okay, good job. Any questions? All right. On what intervals is the rate of change of G positive and decreasing? Do you need your fun chart? Yes, so write it down over here. We're going to write it every time we need it, because then you don't even think about it and it just pops right out of your brain. Not even any talking this time. That concerns me a little bit. All right, anybody brave enough to give me an answer? What do y'all have? Y'all seem to agree. What do you have? -3 to -1? All right, so let's look at this. Here's how I would go about looking at it, and we'll see if they're right, okay? If my rate of change is positive, that means my function has to be increasing, right? Rate of change is positive, function is increasing. So my function is increasing here and here. Then rate of change is decreasing. If the rate of change is decreasing, then the function is what? Concave down. Function is concave down right here. It's concave up right there. So we are going from where? -5 to -3. Sorry, I should have asked for other answers before I just wrote that up there. But do you understand why it's not this if you got this? Okay. So tell me, I know what you did here. I'm glad you gave me that. Thank you. The rate of change is positive. Okay. Actually, well, if I do this, the rate of change is negative, but the function is positive and the function is decreasing, but not the rate of change. Do you see the difference there? And that is a huge part of separating that. Make sure you're using the fun chart if it says rate of change. Okay? What questions do you have? Okay, because that's where everybody gets confused on this stuff. I know. That's why we're going kind of slow, and we're going to work on some stuff together in class today. We good? Any questions? All right.